Hello guys, this is our next topic. Now we're going to solve two-step equations. I think I did one-step equation and I went back and forth between English and Spanish, but I don't know if it's going to be a good idea, but I'm just, like trying to make your life easy and my life easy. But I guess you guys, most of you guys, like my students who were in my year two with me, your English should be like better than the newcomers, but uh, according to the roster in each class, I have one student who does not speak English. I mean, doesn't speak Spanish. They speak different languages, so I have to do the lesson in English. Now, if I get to the point like those kids do not stay during summer school because I haven't seen them yet, then I can do the whole lesson in Spanish. But what I'm doing now is I'm gonna do my lesson in English and you gonna see the notes in both languages. So today we're doing two-step equations, okay? And you can see the translation in Spanish, ecuaciones de dos pasos. Again, I'm going to keep one language only, and you guys um, can read the translation in Spanish, which is next to, all right? So, because we did yesterday one step equation, all right, I always give you a do now, a warm up, and just to refresh your mind, because this is for my year two, not for my year one, okay? For my year two, I'm not gonna do one step equation because you're supposed to be more advanced, all right? So I'm gonna go faster with you. So this is what I going to do, okay? As a warm up, you're supposed to do this, but let me refresh your mind. Remember, this do now involves four different equations, and they are one step equation, only one step. So what we have to do is just undo the operation that's being performed to the variable, all right? So remember, in the first one, my equation says x plus 2 equals 10. So what I'm trying to do, look for the value of x that when I add 2 gives me 10. So obviously you can do it in your head. You say, okay, so x has to be 8 because 8 plus 2 is 10. But remember, we always want you guys to show work. So if you do it in your head, whatever you do in your head, write it down, because that's how you justify your answer. So remember, guys, I always told you that this is the borderline, okay? Remember, what happens in this side must happen on the other side. So whatever operation I'm doing the left side, I'm going to do on the right side. So now, because the 2 is being added, what is the opposite of addition? Subtraction. So that means I have to subtract negative 2 in both sides. Remember, okay, to keep the balance, to keep the equation balanced, you have to do the same thing in both sides of the equation. So when I perform the opposite operation in the side where the variable is, that number actually cancels out because the opposite. If you have $2 and you spend $2, how much you have left? 0. So that cancels out. Remember, that's the inverse property of addition. But remember, we're not going to go to every single topic because summer school is not, we don't have that much time, all right? So, if I have $10 and I spend 2, how many dollars I have left? 8. So the answer here, x equals 8. That should be the answer. Same thing here, x minus 6 equals 12. What is the value of x that when I subtract 6 will give me positive 12? You can do that in your head, all right, just by trial and error. But remember, the idea is to leave the x alone, right? So this negative 6 must travel to the other side. So because we're subtracting, what is the opposite of subtraction? Addition. So we do plus 6 here and plus 6 here. Remember, when you do in one side, you must do on the other side. So if you have $6 and you spend $6, how much money you have left? 0. So the idea is to eliminate the number next to the variable or in the same side of the variable. And I do the same thing here. 12 plus 6 is 18. So that's my answer. Now remember, we have used subtraction, we use addition. Now here, the 3 is being multiplied to the variable, okay? So 3x means 3 times x. So what operation undo multiplication? Division. So we're gonna divide both sides by positive 3, by the coefficient. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. You don't have to write it because you know that it's an invisible 1 in front of the variable, all right? And you do the operation on the right side. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, same thing here. Remember what we did before. When you have a fraction, okay, you multiply by the reciprocal, all right? In this case, it won't affect too much because the number on top is 1. But if you would have a different number, it will be different story. So I will tell you that in later examples through the lesson. So, but remember, now, if you divide here, okay, remember, so that means that here we have to multiply. So, because we have a fraction, you have to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3 over 1. Remember, if you do the same thing here, if you multiply by 3 over 1, this 3 cancel out, the 1 cancel out, you have x. All right? I believe you don't cancel out because that becomes 1 because you multiply by the reciprocal of a number. And if you put on the calculator, you say 4 times 3 is 12, 12 divided by 1 is 12. But you can just put it on the calculator, so that should be your answer. This is just one-step equation. Now, you guys are going to do two-step equations. I mean, we're going to do 2 operations, all right? So that's basically your topic for you guys. So look, it's very important. I wrote this for you. I wrote these steps, okay? They are in Spanish and English. English and Spanish. So remember, I have to do everything in English, but remember, everything is also translated to Spanish. So, with two-step equations, like the name says, we must take 2 steps. If you notice here, we only did 1 step to solve all those 4 equations because these ones are simple equations, just 1 step. Now we're going to do 2 steps, all right? So that means that we're going to work in reverse, okay? So something that you should know, you always eliminate the constant that the term without the variable, okay? Then step 2 should be eliminate the coefficient. That means the number next to the variable, okay? So, here we go. All right. And you see, I'm asking you to check here because, you know, like just for you guys to don't lose the habit of checking. So look, if I eliminate this 5, that will be 1-step equation. But now, because I have a combination of 2 operations, I have to do 2 steps. Think about it. We're looking for a number that when you multiply times 7 and you add 5 will give you 33. Some people can do it on their head, but remember, the more steps we add, the more difficult it's going to become to make it in our head, all right? So that's what is very important that you learn step by step, okay? 1 step at a time. So as my instructions or my, not rules, my steps, okay? That I actually gave it to you here in the beginning. Step 1, eliminate the constant, the term without variable. If you notice, the term without variable is this one because that's variable. And in class, I told my students, the x is actually attached to the 7. And the 5 is a little farther away from the x. The 7 is, and the 5 is separated by the plus sign. While here, there's nothing separating the 7 and the x. They're actually together. So what you have to do is you have to eliminate the number that is farther away from the x first. Okay? So you can use my rule, esposa y novia. ¿Se acuerdan? Esposa y novia. So it is the same thing. The 7, the x is married to the 7. And the 5 is just a friend, okay? So it's easier to stop having a relationship with a friend than with your wife or than with your spouse because that requires legal action, okay? Remember that. es más fácil eliminar la novia que la esposa. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want everybody to start taking it in a different way. I'm just trying to remind you that how I told you these topics in class. So, eliminate the constant. So the constant here is this one. That's my constant. So what does that mean? That I have to eliminate that first. I still have to do my borderline. Now, the 5 is being added. What is the opposite to addition? Subtraction. So I'm going to subtract -5 in both sides. Remember, what I do in one side, I must do on the other side. So think about what I said before with the money. If you have $5 and you spend $5, how much money you have left? 0. So that cancels out. So what do you have left in this side? Just 7x. Equals whatever you get from this operation. 33 minus 5, you get 28. All right? Now, the 7, because it's attached, that means multiplication. So what operation wants to do multiplication? Division. So we're going to divide both sides by 7. So 28 divided by 7 is 4. So that's my answer. So you see, one step, one step, one step, one step, 2 steps. We did the subtraction and division. Now, I'm just going to check a couple of them so you don't remember, so you don't forget how to check. To check, what you do is just substitute the value of x for the value that you just found. So that means that this x becomes what? Becomes 4. So it's going to be 7 parentheses 4 plus 5 equals 33. So we got to use PEMDAS. Remember, PEMDAS order operations. We did that during the school year. So 7 times 4 is 28. I do that first. Plus 5 equals 33. And if I add these two, 28 plus 5 is 33. And 33 equals 33. So that works. If this number don't match up, that means that the solution is wrong. So you have to go back and see where you made the mistake. All right? Next. Now, the coefficient of the x here is -6. Here it was +6, so be careful when you do the division. Now, 1 is being added to this term. So that means that my first step is to eliminate the constant, and this is my constant. So that goes first. And remember, this is very close, that's a little farther away. So you always eliminate the one that is farther away first. So now, this is my borderline. So remember, this is +1. So what is the opposite of +1? -1. Oh, you can think it that way. You can think, okay, I'm adding 1, so I have to subtract 1 because subtraction is the opposite of addition. So if you have $1 and you spend $1, what do you have? $0. So that means that cancels out and you have -6x equal whatever you get from here. 31 minus 1 is 30. Now remember when we divide, the x is being multiplied by -6 or the coefficient of the variable is -6. So because that's multiplication, we divide. But remember, do not change the sign when you divide it. The sign remains with the number because if you divide by +6, your answer is going to be negative, and you don't want to have a variable negative because then you have to do division again and divide by -1. So here you're killing 2 birds with the same stone. So -6 divided by -6 is 1, which I know is the coefficient of the x automatically. So 30 divided by -6, that will give you -5. Again, let's check. Now this x becomes what? -5. So -6 parentheses -5 plus 1 equals 31. PEMDAS, multiplication first. -5 times -6 will give you +30 because minus times minus is plus. Okay, and 30 plus 1 is 31, and that works. Okay, so there's going to be time when you have to check, okay guys? So I just preparing you for that. Now we're going to do the rest, but we don't have to check because we only solving. Remember what guys, remember, it doesn't matter what the variable is, okay? The variable can be left in either side of the equation, and you can change it, you can rearrange it if you want, okay? But because if you notice here, the variable is in the right side, here the variable is in the left side, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The idea is to leave the variable alone in that size, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my bottom line. Now this is my constant, okay, because it doesn't have a variable. So that's the one that has to be eliminated first. Now because that's minus, I'm going to do plus. So plus 4, right? And that goes away. 8 plus 4 is 12 equals 3w. Now remember, we divided by 3, not by 12, because a lot of kids get confused. So the idea is to leave the w alone, so I'm dividing both sides by 3. What is 12 divided by 3? 4. That answer is correct. Or you can write it, w equals 4. It is the same thing. Doesn't matter how you write it. Next, bottom line, which one is my constant? Number 9, because remember the first step is always the constant, the term without a variable. So now this one automatically is positive because it doesn't have a sign in the middle, in the front. So if it's positive, I have to add the inverse, which is negative 9. So it's minus 9 in both sides. I have $9, I spend $9, I have $0 left. So I bring down the negative 4, and don't forget the negative because a lot of kids forget that sign. That sign belongs to this coefficient right here. And my signs, remember when you're adding signs, the rules, if you're combining or adding same sign numbers, you add them up and you keep the sign, all right? So your answer should be negative 28. Think about it. You own $19 to your parents and you, hey, mom, pa, I need $9 more because I'm short. Now you're gonna own $28. So remember, think about money that you own, okay? So I'm not done yet. I only did one step. What is my second step? Eliminate the coefficient. The coefficient is the number next to the variable, okay? So because it's negative, I'm gonna divide by negative 4. Do not change the sign, please, okay? You only change the sign when you're doing addition or subtraction, not when you're adding or multiplying. Now, the minus times minus is a plus, so 28 divided by 4 is 7. That should be my answer. Same thing here. Let's move on. This is my constant, okay? I'm going to do my bottom line. Because that's minus, I will do plus. I have $8. I spend 8. I have $0 left. And I will still have 1/2 m. Negative 3 plus 5 plus 8 is positive 5. Remember, I have $8, and if I spend 3, I have 5 left. And this one, because it's a fraction, I multiply by the reciprocal, which is 2 over 1. Okay? So the 2 goes with the 2, the 1 with the 1, and I have my m alone. 6 times 2 is 10. 10 divided by 1 is 10. That should be my answer. See, not too bad. Now we can go a little faster because this is something that you already know. This is my constant, right? So the 12 must go to the other side. And because it's plus, what do I do? Minus 12, minus 12. That cancels out. And I had 3 over 4a equals 6. Remember, you can do that in the calculator. You can put 18 minus 12. You're going to be 6, all right? And I multiply by the reciprocal, which is 4 over 3, okay? It's 4 over 3. So this 4 kill the 4, that 3 kills the 3, and I have my a alone. 6 times 4 is what? 24. 24 divided by 3 is 8. You can just put on the calculator. Okay, if you want to put on the calculator, this is what you will do. You will do 6 parentheses 4 divided by 3 close parentheses, and that's my answer, 8. Right? Not too bad. Let's go on the back. I have to write this with my hand because for some reason the printer did not print. Oh, but what I have here too, guys, I shouldn't do this because this is different. This will be a different topic. So, because I don't want to confuse you, I know guys, you know how to do this, but I do not want to give you something that we're not going to do yet. So, skip that, okay? Because even though you know how to do this, I don't want you to get, that will be another topic. Here, okay, we have, this is my constant, right? So the 24 must go to the other side, and I do the opposite. All right, I have $24, I spend 24, I have no money left. So I bring down my 3D equals negative 33. Remember, when you add in same sign numbers, you keep the sign, okay? And add the numbers. Now we divide by 3, so D equals negative 11. Now remember, because this lesson, even though I modified it for you, you guys, this is for you to have done it in school, after, like I finished with my instruction, but because now we online, it's different method that we're using for learning. So let's do it together. I'm gonna do it quick, all right, so you don't get bored. This is my constant, so that means that the negative 9 becomes what? Positive 9, positive 9. That cancels out. I have 4y equals 24. And if I divide by 4, y equals 6. Okay, pretty simple. Minus 7, minus 7. That cancels out. I have 6x equals negative 12 divided by 6. X equals negative 2. Okay, again, I'm going quick because remember, you're supposed to have done this in class. Minus 2, so you have negative 9t equals 54. And if you divide by negative 9, t equals negative 6. Not better, right? Plus 6, plus 6, that will give you negative 4 equals 4 over 5b multiplied by the reciprocal, which is 5 over 4. So that cancels with that, that cancels with that. You have your v alone. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So v equals 5. 2 more, and we're done. That's my constant, remember, plus 15, plus 15. That gives me 50 equals negative 2x divided by negative 2, x equals negative 25. And the last one, minus 4, that cancels out. You have negative 3n equals 39. And if you divide by negative 3, n equals negative 13. Right, guys? So hopefully, these lessons are you getting more comfortable now. And I guess the next lesson is going to be multiple steps. It's going to be more than 2. You're going to have the distributive property, combining line terms, variables on both sides. So it's very important that you remember the first steps, all right? So we can build on it. All right, hopefully I see you tomorrow. I'm going to have a live meeting from 11 to 11:30. So just go to the class at 10 o'clock, print out or work on the lesson. And if you have a question, you can ask me between 11 and 11:30. All right, thank you. Get some rest.